I'm so glad everybody's here with us today. I know you guys are still working hard, so our last live math lesson, okay? We can do it. And we're gonna talk about telling time, which is kind of a cool thing to learn about because telling time can be really useful. So I'm gonna share my screen with you. So now thumbs up if you can see my screen. It has clocks on it. Do you see a screen with clocks on it? Thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, great. So we're learning about telling time. And the first thing I want to ask is, why do we need to know how to tell time? I'm going to ask a couple people to share out loud. Maybe Dominic, Brianni, and Lorraine's could tell us, why would we want to learn how to tell time? Go ahead, Dominic. Do you have an idea?
In case you have to like go somewhere at a certain time and then you don't know what time it is.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Why can't it only see me?
Lorraine's?
Wait.
Why would we want to know how to tell time? You got to unmute, friend.
Because if you don't know the time and if you're late, then you get fired.
Oh, you might be fired if you have a job and you're late. That's true. If I got to my job late every day, I could get fired. Thank you. And I think I said Brianni too. Go ahead, Brianni. You have any ideas?
That if we don't see the time or nobody tells us, then we could be late for school.
We could be late for school.
Or in a Zoom meeting.
Thank you, and for the Zoom meeting. You're right. If you're not watching the clock or you don't know how to tell time, you might miss our Zoom meeting. When we were at school, I was always watching the clock. Remember, I'd be like, guys, we gotta go or we're gonna be late to lunch, because we don't wanna have a short lunch. We don't wanna get to recess late and have a short recess. And we don't wanna miss something, like we don't wanna miss art. We don't wanna miss music. So it's definitely important to know how to tell the time. Thanks for sharing your ideas about why we need to tell time. If you can only see one little picture right now and you want to see more people, you should be able to push the arrows next to the people to scroll down, and then you can find where I am, or you can find where your other friends are, okay? There should be arrows where the pictures are that you can kind of scroll. But the most important thing is that you can see the screen right now, okay? So last week we talked about dividing shapes or partitioning shapes into parts. And we learn about that because it's gonna help us tell time. So a clock is what shape? Somebody can unmute and say it.
Miss Thanos?
Circle.
Yeah?
I'm so sorry.
Okay, go
It's
ahead.
a circle.
Jonah, this needs to be let in.
Okay.
I can let her in. Her mom's right here, so she just let me
It's a
put you in.
circle.
I'm gonna make you a co-host, Miss Aponte, because I can't see that when I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
Is there any way you
It's
got
a circle.
Yep, it just said that. Hold on, let me mute myself again.
I can stop sharing and do it. Okay. All right. Sorry, friends. What shape?
It's a circle.
It's a circle. And so a clock circle is divided into 12 sections, okay? So it's divided equally into 12 parts. And each of those parts is showing 1 hour or 5 minutes. So if you can see my clock that I have the times around it, it counts by fives. That's how many minutes it is. So can we count by fives together? You can either unmute yourself or you can just say it by yourself. We're gonna go from 0 to 55, counting by fives. Ready? 0, 5,
5,
what's next? 10,
10,
15,
15,
20,
25, 35, 35, 45, 50, 55.
55. And then if we went back, if we kept going, what would come after 55?
55,
60, okay? So 60 minutes
6,
equals 1
10.
hour, okay? 60 minutes is a whole hour. So if we take a look, here's the circle and it's not divided, but it shows you 60 minutes is the same as 1 hour. So how many minutes is half of the clock? If the whole clock is 60 minutes, how much is half of the clock?
That's 30 minutes.
30 minutes is half of the clock. So I've got two others to show you. So how many minutes is just 1/4 of the clock, 1/4 of the clock?
15 minutes.
And then the last one,
44. 45 minutes. 45 minutes.
45 minutes. So those are some important fractions of the circle that will help us decide how to tell time, how to know how many minutes it is. So today we're going to start by looking at the two different types of clocks. So you've probably seen both of these types of clocks before. One of them is called analog, and it's this green one. An analog clock is the one that has all the numbers on it and 2 hands. A digital clock is the one that just shows you the time with numbers. Where have you seen an analog clock before? Anybody want to raise their hand? Where have you seen an analog
The
clock?
blue one?
The green
blue?
one.
Oh,
Where have you
in my hallway.
in your hallway? Okay, Brianni.
I've seen the blue.
I saw it in the school.
At school, there's a green one. Hang on, Gabby. Hang on for the blue one, okay? Anybody else seen the green one anywhere? I know that my watch is like the green one. My watch looks like an analog clock.
Probably the clocks at your home.
Some of the clocks at my home. All right, how about the blue digital clock? Where have you seen a digital time? Gabby?
I've seen one of those in my brother's room. They have one.
Great.
It
Digital
could
clock.
be broke, but my dad fixed it.
Great, so they have their digital clock. Juliana?
I think I've seen one of those in my phone when you unlock your phone.
Yes, the digital clocks are often on cell phones. So let me show you real quick. If you can see my photo right now, I'll stop sharing so you can see it. So, oops, I just made it dark. But there's the digital time. Right now it's 11:24.
24.
Okay, that's a digital clock. And I know I also have a digital clock on my microwave. Have you seen that before on your microwave?
Yeah, I have one like that, but it's white.
Yeah. Anywhere else in your
Right.
kitchen that you've seen a digital clock besides the microwave? There's usually one other place.
A stove?
The stove usually has a digital clock. So if you start paying attention, I bet you'll see these different kind of clocks in your house, analog clocks and digital clocks. So I'm going to go back. They both help us tell the time. The digital clocks are pretty quick to be able to tell what time it is. They're pretty easy because they just tell you those numbers. So we're not going to practice with digital clocks today. All you got to do is read the numbers. It says it's 10:15, it's 10:05, and it'll tell you exactly. But an analog clock is a little trickier to figure out, and that's what we have at school. And they're a lot of times on watches too. So let's practice with doing that. So there's 2 hands on an analog clock. There's a minute hand that shows the minutes. It's longer. Okay, the minute hand is longer. The hour hand shows us what hour it is, and it's shorter. Always, every clock. Okay, the minute hand is longer, and the hour hand is shorter. So when we look at the clock, we have to figure out what hour it is first, then how many minutes it is. So we'll do a little practice. So we're gonna guess what time is it. We can write the time in the chat like a digital time. So as if we were looking at our microwave and we were telling what time it was. So basically, let's go to the chat right now. And if you have the chat, what we're gonna do is look at the first clock. So remember, the hour hand is the small hand. So where is the hour hand pointing? Can somebody unmute and tell me? Where's the hour hand on the yellow clock pointing? You can unmute without being called on.
Oh, okay. The hour hand is on the 9, and it's 9 o'clock. It's
Okay.
9 o'clock.
Our hand is on the 9, then we're gonna type 9 like this, and then the 2 little dots. because that's going to help us tell what time it is. It's pointing to the 9, okay?
And it's 9 o'clock.
Now, hang on just a second, Gabby. Thank you for your help. Now, the minute hand is pointing where? It's pointing at the 12. But we need to remember, I'm going to go backwards on my slides. How many minutes is it if the minute hand is pointing straight up and down? Look at the minutes on here. How many minutes?
0.
0 minutes, okay? So we can't, the number 12 is the hour number, but it's not 12 hours. We're looking for minutes, and it's 0 minutes, and we have to write the 0 twice. So just like Alex and Lorraine's did, thank you, Malik, they are writing the time like it's digital, 9 o'clock. Because there's 0 minutes. It's starting at the top, 0. And then if we were at the 1, how many minutes is that? Remember, we count by 5s. So if it's at the 1, how many minutes?
5.
5 minutes. If it's at the 2, how many minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. If it's at the 3, how many minutes?
15 minutes.
Great. If it's at the 4, how many minutes?
20,
20. If it's at the 5?
25,
5 minutes.
If it's at the 6?
30.
30. Great. So all you're doing is counting by 5 minutes. You could count these tiny lines and it would tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that just takes a long time. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You could count the tiny lines, but we know how to count by 5, so we're just going to do it the fast way. All right, so the first time we already know is 9 o'clock, and I see Brianni wrote it. I see Malik wrote it. Joannis, can you write the time with us now that you know it? All right, I want everybody to try the purple clock. What time is it on the purple clock?
12 o'clock.
Gabby, you're going to type.
You're supposed to be.
Love that you're participating. You're the best. I'm going to ask you guys to type, okay? So first look at the hour. Where is the shorthand pointing? Because the shorthand is the hour. So where does your shorthand point? I see Brianni, Malik, Joannis, Alex, Jonna, Gabby, you're all in there. 12. And then the long hand is the minutes. And the long hand is pointing at the 12 too. Is it 12:12? Is the time 12:12? Dominic, can you explain to me why it's not 12:12? Sorry, Dominic, I just chose you. If you don't want to, I can pick somebody else.
Well, I can't mute myself because my screen is all the way in the corner.
I can mute you. You want me to mute you?
Sure.
Does somebody want to explain why it's not 12:12 and why it's 12 o'clock? Go ahead, Gabby.
It's not 12:12 because it hasn't been any minutes, or because that's not even a type of time.
So it's not 12:12 because when it's pointing to the 12, it's 0 minutes. If it were 12 minutes, the hand would have to be on 12. It'd have to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It would have to be here between the 2 and the 3. It'd be 12:12. Okay? All right, darlings, we're going to keep going. So keep your chat open. And go ahead and type me what time it is. Joannis, my friend, no more emojis, okay? And we're not going to talk about Roblox right now. We can talk about it at the end, my darlings. Right now, I want you to type just the time of the blue clock, please. I'm looking for everybody's answers, okay? What time is it on the blue clock? Look at the hour first, and the hour is the shorthand. And you type that first.
I
Then
typed
the
it.
minutes. And the minutes is the long hand. And remember, we started 0 and then we'd go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So all the ones we're learning right now are just a clock. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. If it's 0, 0, we say o'clock, okay? It's 8 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock. I see a lot of people putting this time, and that is correct, 10 o'clock. All right, do you guys want to know something? It can be 10 o'clock 2 times in a day. So how do we know which 10 o'clock it is? What do we say? Have you ever heard somebody describe to you what time of day it is? Oh, it's 10 o'clock. What? How do we know which 10 o'clock it is? Jana?
There's two 10 o'clock. Wait. So if there's two 10 o'clocks, that means one at PM and one's at AM.
Kiss your brain. So one of them can be AM, and what does that mean? Is that morning or night?
Morning.
That's morning. If it's 10 o'clock PM, that means it's
Night.
night. Okay, so that's how we tell people. If you want them to be at your house and you say 10 o'clock, you better make sure you say which one you want them to come at. Do you want them to be there at 10 o'clock in the morning? Or do you want them to be there at 10 o'clock at night when you're asleep? So that's why it's important to tell people, okay? All right. All right, the next clock, the green clock. Go ahead and type your time in. Thanks, Jana, for sharing and helping us understand that. Green time. Brianna's been ready. Look at her go. And Juliana also said AM signs and PM signs. That's why you might see it say that when you're reading something. 6 o'clock AM. Oh, it's because it means morning. I see Jana, Brianna, Gabby are already in the chat with an answer. Remember, you're looking for the hour hand first, the shorthand, and then the minutes. And Alex, you know what? I love that you're trying to put AM. The clock does not tell us if it's AM or PM usually. Most analog clocks don't have any way to tell us. We just know because we can look outside and we know if it's morning or night, right? So that's the only way we really know. But a lot of digital clocks do tell us if it's AM or PM. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute. And if you wanna look at my screen really quick, it's gonna be hard to see. But up at the very top of my phone right now, it says 11:24, and then what does it say?
AM.
It says AM, okay? Still morning time. 11:24 PM is almost midnight, so it'd be really late night. You guys are doing an awesome job. I'm super proud. You're gonna be time tellers before you know it. Okay, the next one, the orange or red clock. Go ahead and type in the chat. What is the time on the red clock? And remember, could be AM or PM, we don't know because I guess it would be AM right now because it's.
I typed it in the chat.
But we don't really know. And I like the way people are writing 6, and make sure that when you write 6, you put the 00 so we know it's 6 o'clock. There's no minutes right now. Nice job. All right, 6 o'clock is the correct answer. Now go to the blue clock. Thanks, Brianni, Raul, Lorraine's, Alex, Juju, Gabby. Ooh, lots of you got in there. All right, now my friends, let's go ahead to the blue clock. Go ahead and type the answer. Jana, can you help us with the blue?
I typed the answer.
Go ahead, thank you.
I typed answer, Miss
Just looking
Anna.
for a few more friends to see if people agree or disagree, because if you think the answer's wrong, don't just put what everybody else is putting, put what you think. All right, I agree, it is 5 o'clock. And now, my friends, we just did a lot of them that were the same. They were all 0 minutes, o'clock, pointing at the 12. Those are pretty easy to tell. Now I'm gonna teach you something a little trickier. Now we're going to look at a half hour. How much is a half hour? How many minutes is half of the circle? Who remembers? How many minutes is half of the circle? You can type it in the chat or you can unmute and tell me if you know.
30 minutes.
And I see Raul typed 30 minutes. The whole circle, the whole clock is 60 minutes. So half of the circle is 30 minutes. So if the hand is pointing at the 6, that's half the circle, that's 30 minutes. We could count by 5s to get there. Can you guys count by 5s with me? Ready?
Yeah.
5, 10,
5, 10, 15, 20,
20,
25,
25,
30,
30.
35, 40,
Hang on, we're stopping at 30.
45.
Stopping at 30.
5, 60.
You guys are great counters. Thanks for helping me count by 5. Some of you went really far though. We're just stopping at halfway right now. We're stopping at the 6, which was 30 minutes. Now,
Sorry.
I want you to notice something a little bit tricky. Here's the hour hand. What do you notice about this hour hand? Where is it?
It's pointing between the 12 and the 1.
Uh-oh. It's like between 2 numbers. And so the reason that happens is because we're halfway to 1 o'clock, right? We're halfway to the next time. So we are going to have to pay attention real close to the hour here. It's not as easy to tell, but I'm going to tell you a trick. Every time it's between 2 numbers, you need to go back to the left. Go back by 1 number. So this is actually 12:30. Okay? It's pointing between the 12 and 1 because it's halfway to 1 o'clock, but it's not at 1 o'clock yet. It's still 12:30. So I'm actually.
I know, because I learned a trick, because if the number already passed the 12 or any number,
Yep.
it would be that number.
Yeah. So it's one that
if it hasn't yet reached that number.
Thank you, Gabby, for explaining that. So Gabby's saying the little hand has not yet gotten to the 1, so it's not 1 o'clock yet. So I'm not sure why this digital clock says 1:30, because this analog clock does not. This clock says 12:30, okay? So we're going to practice again with some that are 30 minutes or half an hour, all right? And you'll write them the same way. So 12:30 would be written like that. So if you look in the chat, I just typed what 12:30 would look like. So now we're going to the yellow clock, which actually has the same time as the example. So go ahead really quick and type the answer. Super quick, because we just did it. It's between the 12 and the 1, but like Gabby said, it has not yet reached the 1, so it can't be 1. And remember that the minutes are not really what the number says. You have to count by 5s. So it's not 12:06. The minutes.
I accidentally put that by accident.
Okay, that's an easy mistake to make. That's an easy mistake to make. So Juju, we're gonna count by 5s. Start at the 12 and you count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So it's 30 minutes, okay? There's no 6 in it at all. The minutes is really signaling us how many little dashes we passed. And there were 30. We could count them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 little dashes. But that is tiring. I don't want to do that every time I tell the time, so I'm just going by 5s. All right, the next clock, the blue clock. I hope you've been looking at it so you were ready. Go ahead and type your answer. What time is it on the blue clock? First, look at the hour, then the minutes. Remember, if the hand has not yet reached the next number, then it's not that hour. And the clock
I learned that.
like this. People call it clockwise. It starts at the 12 and it moves around. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and it keeps going. So
I wrote the answer.
thank you to my friends who typed in 10:30 because the time is 10, the hour is 10, 30 minutes. Does anybody have a question? Is anybody confused about how we got 10:30? Because I will help explain it. Anybody have a question about it? You can raise your hand or you can put a question.
Santa, can I help explain?
Hang on a second, Gabby. You can if somebody needs an answer, okay? Let's see if anybody needs a little bit more explanation. Was anybody confused how we got 10:30? Can you show me with your thumb? You get it? You know how we got 10:30? Or thumbs down, you need an explanation. You're like, how did you guys get 10:30? I got it? I have no idea. Can everybody show me a thumb? Everybody, so I know if you got it or if you want an explanation. Gabby and Alex, can you show me a thumb? Lorraine's, can you show me? Dominic, can you show me how you feel? Thank you, Malik. Brianni?
I can't see my
Gabby say it. Okay, Gabby, can you explain to us one more time how we got that?
Because if the hour hand didn't reach the 11, then it's still 10:30, because if the little hand hasn't reached the next number yet, it's not that number. It's not that time.
Okay, so Gabby's saying it's between 10 and 11, but it did not get to 11 yet, so it still is 10. And now, Gabby, can you tell us about the minutes?
Yeah, because it's the same with the middle minutes. Because if the it's the same with the minutes.
Actually, hang on a second. It's not the same with the minutes. So how did you get 30 when it's touching a 6?
Because you can count by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30.
Great. So for the minutes, we count by fives. For the hour, you just look where the hand is. For the minutes, you have to count by fives. Thank you so much, Gabby, and thank you, Brianni, for asking the question. All right, everybody, the orange clock. Get in the chat. Write me your answer. What time is it? The time for art yet? The time for lunch yet? I know when I have to wake up, I set an alarm on my phone for a certain time to make sure I can get places. Sometimes I accidentally set my alarm for PM or AM, and then it's a bad thing, because if I set it for PM, then it just rings during dinner, and then I forget to wake up in the morning. So it's really important to have AM or PM. All right, so I have a lot of friends putting 2 for the hour, and I agree, 2 is the hour because it hasn't yet reached 3. But what are the minutes? Why do I see 39s? I guess I'm confused how you guys got 39. Can somebody who got
got
explain it to me?
I got 30.
Alex, can you type in the chat how you got 39? Because then I'm thinking some of the people after you just typed the same thing as you, because I'm not sure how you guys got 39. Remember, we count by 5. So everybody start at the 12, and then we're going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Oh, Alex just made a typo when she typed. She said she wanted it to be 30. So it's 2:30. We counted by 5s, we got to the 30. Okay? 39 would be like 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. 39 would be right here before the 8. That would be 39. Okay? All right, the pink clock. Go. Dom, can you type in our chat for us? I haven't seen you in the chat in a little bit, and I know you can tell time.
Because I can't do the 2 dots. I can't do those.
Oh, okay, do it without the dots. Just do the number and leave a space, and then put the next 2 numbers, okay? Thanks for letting me know. Jonna, can you type us in the chat too, darling? And if you don't have the 2 dots, the colon, that's okay. You can leave a space if you're not able to do that on your computer. Okay. There we go, Dominic, perfect. But guess what? You guys got tricked. I'm gonna tell you a hint. It's not 7:30. What does Gabby tell us about the hour hands? If it's between 2 numbers, what do we do? It has not reached the 7 yet, right? It's not at the 7 yet. So what hour is it? Try again, guys. It has not reached the 7 yet. It's between 6 and 7. So Brianni, I want you to pay attention to the hour, which has to be 6 because it's between 6 and 7. So the hour is 6. Now pay attention to the minutes. How many minutes is it? You can count by 5, but we've been doing the same minutes the whole time.
I got tricked by my own teacher.
Tricked by your own tips.
Exactly. I got tricked by my own trips.
If it was 7:30, this little hand would be between the 7 and the 8, okay? If it was 7:30. So this is 6:30. Great.
That's good.
These might be the last two. All right, go ahead on the purple clock. Go ahead into the chat. Answer, if you don't have the colon, the 2 dots, just put a space. Look where the hour hand is first. What hour is it? It's between the 4 and the 5. So which is it?
It's 4:30.
Abby, don't tell us yet. We're going to the chat. Thanks, friends. You're working so hard over there. The chat. I see people are starting to think. Flo, go ahead in the chat and show me what you're thinking, because I can't really tell the hand signals. Malik, go ahead in the chat and type us your answer. Brianni thinks she's in there. Joannis is in there. Juliana's in there. And you don't have to copy people's answers. Don't copy their answer. If you think their answer's right, then you write that too. If you think their answer's wrong, then you write your own answer. So I agree, the hour is 4, because it's between 4 and 5, like Gabby keeps reminding us. Not at the 5 yet. And the minutes, you have to count by 5s. The minutes are still 30. So who can tell me what time it is? Jonna, what time is it? What time is it, girl? Gotta unmute. What time is it, Jonna?
It is
Say the hour first. The hour is?
4:30.
And then what are the minutes? 30, yeah, so it's 4:30. There we go. All right, and we're on the orange clock now. Go ahead, you've got to make a decision about the hour. What hour is it? It's between 11 and 12. So how do we decide if it's actually 11 or if it's 12? It's always the same rule, okay? If it's between 2 numbers, you make sure.
I already wrote the answer.
Gabs, I can always see it. Don't worry, my darling. Okay. Can I have somebody tell me the time? Somebody maybe I haven't heard from. Brianni, can you tell me what time it is?
The time is 6 hours and 30 minutes.
Okay, so we would say 6:30. But I want you to stop for a second, Brianni, and look at the hand that tells us the hour. Which one tells us the hour? The little hand or the big hand?
The little hand.
The little hand. Look where the little hand is pointing. Where is it?
It's at 6.
The little hand? The short hand?
Oh no, it's in 11.
Yep. So what hour is it, darling?
It's 11
Yep.
and
And then how many minutes? That's when we count by 5.
6 minutes.
Nope, you gotta count by 5.
15, 20, 5, 10, 12, 15.
So Bree, you want me to count with you?
30.
30 minutes. So go ahead and tell me the whole time again.
It's 11:30.
11:30. Great. That one was a little bit tricky. Make sure you look for the hour shorthand first and then the longhand.
That was
it. You guys did a nice job. Now I'm going to mix them up a little bit. Now I'm mixing them. Some of them are going to be 0 minutes. Some of them are going to be a half hour, 30 minutes. So they're mixed up. Where are all my friends going? Can you guys come back? We're going to be done in about 5 minutes. My friend, I don't see you anymore. Raul, I don't see you. Joannis, I don't see you guys. Can you guys join us for just about 5 more minutes so we can finish up? Okay, so now I mixed up the time. Some of them are o'clock, 00, and some of them are 30 minutes. So let's practice the last couple, the purple clock. Go to the hour first. What's the hour? Remember, it's hand. And then go to the minutes, which is the long hand. And remember, for the minutes, you're counting by 5s. I see Juliana has an idea of her answer. Alex, what's your idea? What hour, what minutes do we have? Type it in the chat. Lo, can you type in the chat for me? Raul, can you type in the chat for me? What is your guys' idea? You too, Jonna. Let me see you, Dominic. Remember, Dominic, you just skip the 2 dots. That's okay, because your answer is helpful for the class to see.
You're supposed to have the dots in your number.
Yeah, but Dominic doesn't have that on his thing he's using to be able to make it. So I told him he can skip the dots. And he just put a space. And we can tell what he's trying to say, right? So we're looking at the shorthand first, guys, the shorthand. And the shorthand is pointing to the 7.
I wrote both of the answers, and they're so easy.
So the first answer is 7 o'clock, 7:00, because the tall minute hand is pointing at the top. That means no minutes yet. All right, and the yellow clock, go ahead. I saw some of you starting to do that already. The yellow clock, the hour.
I kind of did a mistake. I went to the yellow one and then write the answer.
Okay, Brianni, so let's go back.
I already wrote the answer.
Yellow one now, Brianni, okay? So Brianni, I know you can see that the hour is pointing close to the 3, and you wrote that first. So you got to write 3, and then you got to decide what the minutes are. Remember, we count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 25, 30. So everyone should have 3:30. 3:30. The good thing about this lesson, my friends, is you guys can practice this at home. You've just got to find an analog clock. And if you can't find an analog clock, you can go on the internet and Google analog clock, and then you can find them to practice with. All right, go ahead for the pink clock, then the green clock, and then we're going to be wrapping up. Okay, pink first, everybody. Look at the hour. It's between 9 and 10. So how do you decide which one it is? And then look at the minutes. You have to count by 5s. Lorraine's, can you come help us finish? This is our last 2 problems, and we need your help. Juliana, you can join us in the chat too. So we're looking at the pink clock.
Already wrote the answers.
All right, so remember, if the hand on the pink clock is between 9 and 10, how do you decide which hour it is? You have to make sure you go to the one that it has not, the smaller number, right? It has not reached 10 yet, so it can't be 10 o'clock. Then we count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So everybody should have 9:30. Thank you, Joannis, Dominic, my twins, Alex. Thank you, thank you.
I wrote both of the answers already.
Thanks, Gabs. I didn't see it from earlier. Okay, friends, the green clock.
But they are so easy.
I'm glad you find it easy. And maybe not everybody does because they haven't ever told time before with an analog clock. That's okay, we're practicing. Go ahead, the green clock. Jonna, can you put the green time in for us, please? What hour is it? This one's pretty easy because the hand is pointing right to the hour. We know that the hour is 3. And then the minute hand is right at the top. Remember, if the minute hand's at the top, there's no minutes yet. So how would you say this time out loud? If somebody asked you, what time is it? And it looked like the green clock, what would you say? Jonna, or no, I'm gonna ask Joannis. Joannis, what would you say if it was that clock, that time, 3:00? How would you say that time? Can you unmute yourself, darling?
What? What you said?
See the time that I typed in the chat box and the time that's on the green clock? How would you say that? Would you say 3:00? What would you say? What?
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock.
Can everybody say that?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
O'clock. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing.
I feel embarrassed.
because you guys have worked very hard. So we are going to wrap up now. You guys worked really hard today. Before we go, I want to remind you about ways you can practice this at home. Maybe some of you can tell us, how can you practice? Where can you find clocks to practice with? Any ideas? Alex, if you want to answer, you can type in the chat because remember, we can't hear you. How can you practice this later by yourselves? Lorenis, can you tell us? How can you practice telling time even when you're not with Miss Santa?
Look at there.
He's showing us. You can practice with your stove or your microwave. Yep. And you can practice saying the time, like 3:15 or 3:30 or 2 o'clock. Juliana also said you can practice on the internet. You can type in analog clock and see what comes up on the internet, and then you can look at the time and practice it on the internet because some people maybe don't have an analog clock. You can also ask someone if they have a watch. You can ask to see people's watches to tell the time, okay? And you can look around your house to see if you have any analog clocks to practice with. Okay, friends.